Shalom. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. And this is Shabai from the GMS Denver camp. And I'm just going to go in today through the Spirit in Jeremiah, the 28th chapter. And last night I did a lesson going in on disobedience, right? And how obedience is better than sacrifice. And, just through the Spirit read this chapter. And this goes into rebellion, right? So if we want to call ourselves the Lord's servants, the Lord's prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, then, we need to, there's a standard. So we should be, obedient to the best of our ability. And also, rid ourselves of a rebellious heart, a rebellious mind. So let's go ahead and read this without further ado. Jeremiah 28:1, and I've read this chapter and done lessons on this chapter, but it's always good to review, rinse and repeat, So anyway, let's start at the top. It says, "And it came to pass the same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 4th year and in the 5th month, that Hananiah, the son of Azur, the prophet, which was at Gibeon, spake unto me in the house of Yahweh, in the presence of the priests and of all the people." Let's see something. Okay, good. Saying, "Thus speaketh Yahweh of hosts, the power of Israel, saying, I have broken the yoke of the king of Babylon." All right, so that's what you're about to find out in this chapter. Hananiah, he basically was false prophesying, He was being a rebel, right? And when we start to read this, the thing is if you're a true servant of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, a false prophecy or being a false prophet, that's something that can get you terminated, unalived, deleted. See, this is the thing that we're a part of. Is it's very severe. It's very serious. You see, so we have to remember that when teaching the scriptures. Okay. So right here, Hananiah, he's telling the priests and Jeremiah that he's broken the yoke of the king of Babylon, right? It says, "Within 2 full years will I bring again into this place all the vessels of Yahweh's house that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, took away from this place and carried them to Babylon." All right? So we're talking about the Israelites, right? Those are the vessels. "And I will bring again to this place Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, with all the captives of Judah that went into Babylon, saith Yahweh, for I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon." All right, so and this is he's basically saying he's going to remove them from slavery in 2 years, right? And it's basically it's a total lie. It's a total false prophecy. He's not, Yahweh never ordained that in this situation, as we read, right? So you have this false prophet. He's, Hananiah, he's trying to write a check that his ass can't cash, basically. You see? And when you do that, you don't go according to the prophecies that are written, that are ordained by Yahweh, like I say, it's a deadly thing, and you're definitely playing with fire when you go off according to what's written. You know, you have to stay disciplined to what we teach and make sure that it's accurate to what Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai has ordained. Okay, it says, then the prophet Jeremiah said unto the prophet Hananiah in the presence of the priests and in the presence of all the people that stood in the house of Yahweh, even the prophet Jeremiah said, Amen. And Yahweh do so, and Yahweh perform thy words which thou hast prophesied, to bring again the vessels of Yahweh's house, and all that is carried away captive from Babylon into this place. Nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears, and in thy ears of all the people. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. Okay, so now you have a true prophet, you know, Jeremiah, and he's speaking according to true prophecy, according to the actual thing that Yahweh is going to perform on the earth. It's not according to just some made up vision or made up plan, right? Just like the false prophets now, you have false prophets in these days that are leading the flock astray, that are leading our people, to the grave, really, to death. You got men out there of Israel telling their congregation that they can take the RFID hip. You know, you got men out there teaching lies and teaching things that are not according to the scripture, according to the word of Yahweh. All right. So he says, the prophet which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that Yahweh hath truly sent him. Okay. So Jeremiah is saying, look, when it's time for the peace and the peace comes, then that means that was a true prophet. But it says in verse 10, then Hananiah took the yoke from off the prophet Jeremiah's neck and brake it. And Hananiah spake in the presence of all the people, saying, thus saith, and that's a symbolic thing for slavery, that yoke. You know, they call it like a harness, like a yoke of iron. When they have the oxen working the fields, they put harnesses around their necks, right? To keep them in line while they do the work. So this is Hananiah breaking off the yoke from Jeremiah's neck is as if he's freeing him, releasing him, like he had mentioned in his false prophecy. It says, and Hananiah spake in the presence of all the people, saying, thus saith Yahweh, even so will I break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, from the neck of all nations within the space of 2 full years. And the prophet Jeremiah went his way. When the word of Yahweh came unto Jeremiah the prophet, after that Hananiah the prophet had broken the yoke from off the neck of the prophet Jeremiah, saying, go and tell Hananiah, saying, thus saith Yahweh, thou hast broken the yokes of wood, and thou shalt make for them yokes of iron. So this is Yahweh dealing with Jeremiah now, all right, and telling him the truth, because Hananiah's prophecy was a false prophecy. Let's keep reading. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the power of Israel, I have put a yoke of iron upon the neck of all these nations, that they may serve Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and they shall serve him. And I have given him the beasts of the field also. So Yahweh, it was his will that the nations be under subjection and under captivity, to serve the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, and it wasn't the time for Israel to be delivered out of Babylon, ancient Babylon. Okay? It says, Then said the prophet Jeremiah unto Hananiah the prophet, Hear now, Hananiah, Yahweh hath not sent thee, but thou makest this people to trust in a lie. Therefore thus saith Yahweh, Behold, I will cast thee from off the face of the earth. This year thou shalt die, because thou hast taught rebellion against Yahweh. So now the true prophet Jeremiah was on the scene, going back and telling Hananiah, yo, Yahweh never ordained this. It's not in his will for the Israelites to be delivered out of ancient Babylon, right, in 2 years, like Hananiah was promising, was false prophesying. So now you got the true prophet who Yahweh is actually dealing with, and he comes on the scene and he puts it in Jeremiah's heart, like, yo, I ain't never told anybody that you guys were going to be delivered from Babylon, right? That would be like us coming into everybody here now and saying that we were going to be delivered before Jacob's trouble, or before the micro Sihib was mandated. It's not according to prophecy. Yes, we're going to be delivered from spiritual Egypt, which is America, Babylon, right? We're going to get delivered from here, but there's an order, and there's an ordained time, an anointed season for that to happen. And if a prophet came over here saying something like that, like, oh, you're going to be delivered before Jacob's trouble, or before the RFID CHIP is mandated here in Babylon, then guess what? You're not to believe that prophet, because that's Hananiah's spirit, lying to the people, making our people trust in a lie, right? Just like Hananiah did. So let me read 16 again. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, Behold, I will cast thee from off the face of the earth. This year thou shalt die, because thou hast taught rebellion against Yahweh. So Hananiah the prophet died the same year in the 7th month. Okay? So there's a price to pay if you want to be speaking things that are not according to, that were not inspired by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And all you false prophets out there, you should take heed, because, hey, that's your ass. If you don't take heed, you don't hearken, you don't get out of your rebellion, then the Most High will put you to death, man. And that's what it is, man. This truth, this thing of ours, it's a very serious thing that we're a part of, and we should treat it as such. Okay? You can't be coming up with your own vain imaginations, your own vain prophecies. You have to make sure you're going according to what's written. Okay? So with that, I'm going to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the other apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, one acknowledge Alakiam, who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.